Hello, it's Morgan Studios. Freestyle ukulele. We're talking about scales, pentatonic patterns, the 5 pentatonic patterns. So what we want to do is think about the piano keys. All white keys are the major scale. Okay, C major scale. What you would do, you have to know the notes of the piano, but if you don't, here they are. Okay. You start at C and then you go up the alphabet and you stop at B and then it repeats. Okay. A pentatonic scale, after you number the notes, okay, 1 is your first note of your scale, C major scale. D is your second note, E is your third note, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it starts over again. Okay. The pentatonic scale is the 1, 2, 3, skip, 5, 6, and then you start over again. So it's the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Another easy way to remember it, I hope I don't confuse you, if you just get the black keys, that's the F sharp major pentatonic scale. So white keys, major scale, black keys, pentatonic scale. Okay. Hopefully that's enough to kind of jog your memory, because like I said before, freestyle is all about what you can remember, right? What can you keep with you? Okay, now, so we're gonna do the pentatonic scale forms the most simple shape you can have on a ukulele, not a guitar, a ukulele. But ukulele is like the top 4 strings on a guitar if you tune it low G. And that's what we're doing in freestyle ukulele. Let's keep going. So there's 5 patterns. Before we get into the little memory game, let's remember 2 patterns. The first pattern is fragment 3. That's basically starting at the number 3 and going up the pentatonic scale. Okay, so that would be degree 3, 5, 6, and then you start over 1. Okay, fragment 3 is 2 flat third steps. Okay, so memorize what this looks like. Okay, the next thing to memorize is fragment 2. Now here I put fragment 2 on the top 3 strings. You see there's nothing here, okay? But if you went bottom 3 strings, it would look something like this for the bottom 3, because you have that shift on the second string, right? The way it's tuned. That second string shift. Okay, so you have fragment 3, which is the 2 flat third steps. So you skip 2 frets, right? And then you have fragment 2, 3 whole steps. They're all a fourth apart, but since we have the shift here, it makes it kind of dip down. Okay? Think about those 2 things. So now all we do is think about, okay, let's put this fragment. There's 3 patterns that are kind of revolving around this fragment 3, okay? Let's not number them for now. Okay, so we're gonna put it right in the middle. Okay, that's gonna be like that. That's a pattern. And then another pattern would be put the fragment 3 on the bottom 2 strings. That's another pattern. And then the only one left is you put the fragment 3 on the top 2 strings. It'll look like that. Okay. The next thing is just a game of filling in the fragment 2 above and below. Okay. Okay, say we had fragment 3 in the middle. So you have the dip, right? That shift. From on the bottom half of it, it's kind of like the end of the, I'm just going to kind of draw some ghost notes, right? Ghost string, right? It's kind of at the end of fragment 2. But you're at the beginning of fragment 2 on the other side. Okay? It's kind of like the beginning of fragment 2. Okay? So anyway, don't want to confuse you. Just trying to show you. All you have to do is think of fragment 2 and fragment 3. You can get all 5 patterns. I'm going to give you some more memory games to try and help you remember the 5 patterns. Okay? Then the other 2, okay, there's 2 more patterns based on fragment 2. So if you would have, as you would have guessed, you have fragment 2 on the bottom 3 strings, and then fragment 2 on the top 3 strings. And those are your 5 patterns. And we have to number them correctly so we can easily overlay the different caged chord shapes. Go over here. Now, the dip, right? Dip, baby, dip. So, we have the 3. And like I said before, you have the dip because of how it's tuned. And then it's like you form the letters D and the letter P. Okay? See how this is kind of making a D? D. And then it's making a letter P. And then there's a dip because it's in the middle. So that's pattern 1. Remember the dip for pattern 1. Pattern 2 in DP. It's a bird and a twig. Okay, pattern 2 is fragment 2. Okay, and it's kind of like a bird's beak, right? It's like you have these 2, and then you have that shift that's kind of making the bird's beak, right? I don't want to confuse you. It's kind of making the bird's beak, and then it's like you have a twig. It's like the bird is kind of eating a twig, right? Not very, artistic, like it's, but you have to use your imagination, right? Almost like the constellations. They kind of don't exactly look like Orion's belt or a bear or whatever, but it's kind of, you can kind of see it. It helps you remember what things look like, okay? Or any other shape. If you think of another shape, maybe a waterfall or something. But I think of bird and a twig. And that's not fragment 2, but pattern 2. Sometimes I call it 2-3 because this is like your major numbering, like major pentatonic pattern 2 is the same as minor pentatonic pattern 3, okay? Okay, that's pattern 2, major pattern 2. Let's keep going. So if you would have guessed, pattern 3 starts on fragment 3, right? So we have fragment 3, and here we're filling the boot, okay? 3 and boot B is like, it has like a 3 in it, but it's a lowercase b. That may be confusing, but it's making like a lowercase b, and it's like a boot, okay? I drew it over here, okay? It's like making a boot, and like you're filling the boot, okay? You're like filling it with water or whatever, you know, soda, whatever you like. You're filling the boot. Just a little memory trick you can use. Now, pattern 4, you flip the boot around upside down, right? You flip it upside down. And you empty the boot. Okay, so you fill up the boot and you empty the boot, all right? And you empty the boot. And that's pattern 4 or 4-5. I like to call it 4-5 because it's major pattern 4, minor pattern 5. Okay, and it starts on degree 5. Main thing, remember the pattern. Empty the boot. And see how our fragment 3 is on the top 2 strings. Uh-oh. It's on the top 2. Okay, and then you're filling in the back half of pattern 2. Just rewatch the video. It'll come, I promise. You just have to, if it's the first time you're looking at this, things may get kind of confusing, but we go back, remember, what does fragment 3 look like? What does fragment 2 look like? And they just stack on top of each other, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. If you can just remember that, and then you can kind of figure out the rest, okay? Last pattern, pattern 5, it kind of revolves around this fragment 2, right? On the top 3 strings. And it kind of looks like a flag. And I call it pattern 5, 6, 5, 1 because really it's like you're counting up to get the 2 different numbers. Don't worry about if these numbers are confusing you. Just know the pattern. Everything will fall into place in the fragment 2, fragment 3. You don't have a 6, so you go 1, right? Starts over. It's only 5 patterns. Okay? You don't have 6 patterns. So it's 1. So that helps me to remember major pattern 5, major pattern 5, and then minor pattern 1. Okay. Okay, so that's just kind of cleaning that up. And then there's the flag right there. If you can just visualize a flag. 5 flag. Okay? And then the pattern 2. If you can't remember any of this, just remember, I'm just repeating it so you can remember. The fragment 2 and fragment 3, okay? And then you're just filling it in, okay? That's for the next thing. Okay, let me go back. I'm trying to get to this fragment. Okay, there you go. Fragment 2, whole step. A 2-step, right? A whole step is a 2. It's three 2s, right? And 2 3s, okay? Just remember fragment 3, fragment 2. All right. Hope you learned something. Again, this is ukulele tuned to low G. You can also use this for the top 4 strings of your guitar. Same difference. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.